Hey guys, I'm back. This is my review for Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is the season 15, episode 5. So this is the aftermath. Okay, this is the aftermath of, the ladies going up to Kenya's room after she called it a night. She has Brooklyn there. And again, as I said in my previous review, I don't even understand why it was necessary to go to her room. You guys want to go out, y'all want to kick it, y'all want to hang out, great. You could have sent her a message, sent her a text message, or send her a voice message if you wanted to, and say, hey, look, we're going out, we're gonna be at whatever you want to go to. If you want to hang out with us, fine. If not, that's cool too. I think they could have really kept it simple. But honestly, this was a scene that, I'm sure the producers put together because they needed some excitement. Because granted, there really wasn't a lot going on in Birmingham. This was something that Kenya company was sponsoring, was a sponsor for this HBCU, homecoming, Alabama versus, I don't know what the other team was, but it was a big homecoming event, right? Or either homecoming or one of the classic events, I forget. But it was a big event, and Kenya, had an opportunity to do a really good branding campaign and engagement campaign with Kenya Moore Hair Care. Big deal. So Kenya was planning a surprise. She was going to perform. This is why Mignetta was around, perform at the parade. I think, Mignetta had put together a little, they had been, rehearsing this whole little routine that she was going to do. Nonetheless, like I said, things were not very planned very well. And she, they got put out from the fundraising event because they were a distraction, whatever. So they go upstairs. We know Marlo was yelling and screaming in the hallway, kicking on her door. Sheree ended up kicking the door. Sanya ended up knocking on the door. It just was very immature. Clearly wasn't very classy. So they get downstairs and all of this, they talking about what's going on, and they don't understand the logistics. They don't have an agenda. They don't have a plan. Now, I understand from everybody else's perspective, you on this trip to Birmingham and you really don't know exactly what's going on. Like, what are we doing? What's the plan? What's happening? What time we got to do this, that, and the third? And they don't really know a lot of what's going on. So I get there's confusion and all of that good stuff. Then we get down to it, and Sanya's like, "Look, I gotta go." She tells they end up calling, talking to Kenya, and she tells Kenya, "Look, I gotta go to this. I gotta go work in the morning for NBC or whoever it is, Sports Network." And I need to know what time was going on, what's tea, what's happening. And Kenya was like, you can just keep it moving, don't have to come back. She was like, girl, you ain't said nothing but a word. And she left. And I would have left too. Like, girl, I know she wanted to plan this surprise, but it's hard to be when you're on a trip with people that don't care for you very much. It's hard to plan a surprise to impress these individuals that are not impressed with you to begin with. That's where her mistake was, Kenya's mistake. You're planning this surprise performance. You're not giving the ladies anything else to go on or anything else to do. It's a little off-putting. I get it. If these were your friends, your buddies, your close, individuals, that would be different. But these are not those people. This is still a work event. It's work event for you in terms of the show and in terms of your company. So I was a little bit, I understood where Sanya came from in terms of I would have left too. I would have got up and said, well, you know what, girl, I'm out of here. See you later. Peace. I'd have been up out of there. So we get that going on, right? She leaves, and then we got the situation between Mignetta and Marlo. Because as Marlo is walking through a door, she slams the door or tries to slam the door in Magnetta's face, and Mignetta is cussing out Marlo. Like, girl, I'm the one to be doing that too. Marlo knew what she was doing. Marlo, and all her frustration, all her anger, and everything. And then she even said later on, it's like the next day, how she has an admiration for Kenya. Girl, you have a hard time showing, or you don't know how to show admiration. I've seen a lot of bloggers say
that how much, excuse me, that Marlo wants to be accepted by Kenya and all of that. It's she going about the wrong way. Because if you're trying to gain acceptance into a group, you're trying to gain acceptance with a person, you want this person to like you have to move in a positive manner. What you're doing, like that kicking and screaming and yelling and all of that, that was not it. That ain't gonna help you. That ain't gonna help you. So anyway, the next day, Kenya ends up, she got sick, they called the paramedics and everything. I think that Kenya had a panic attack. I really do believe it was a panic attack because we find out later on, they didn't find anything abnormal. She did not have a heart attack, so I believe it was a panic attack. So, Sheree called the rest of the ladies into her room and she tells them what she saw with the paramedics, and they took Kenya to the hospital. And folks want to pray and everything. That's cool. Marlo was like, well, where's Brooklyn? Like, Marlo, do you really care? Do you really care? So anyway, they keep talking later on. They're having a conversation in the lobby. They're getting ready to leave. Monyetta shows them, the dance move that she had showed Kenya that she would have done had she not gotten sick and all of this good stuff. So pretty much that was the trip. That was the Birmingham trip. It was a bust. It really, it didn't give what I think Kenya wanted to give. I think that she had a panic attack. I think she had an anxiety attack. I think it was a little bit too overwhelming. And she just needed a moment to herself. I don't think any of this would have happened had she been on this trip with people that truly are in her corner that she can depend on. Like, I think Monyetta would have been fine on the trip. I think that Candy would have been great. Those two would have been genuine supporters. Everybody else, not so much. Not really. Not so much. So we get back, we in Atlanta, we finally see Drew. She had been sick with the flu. All right, so she's, finally out. She had spent a day in the hospital. She's out. She's trying to, we see her, Ralph, and the kids, whatever. So they doing their thing. We see Candy. Candy goes to meet with Todd in the office, and Todd is working on a new movie, and I think it's called Pass. And it's about husbands and wives, giving each other a hall pass, basically. If you want to spend the day and cheat, you can do that. That's pretty much what the movie's about. I'm curious to see how this is going to work out. So Todd wants to talk to Candy about his project, what he got going on. And Candy is just not as engaged. She all on the phone. She texting, she talking. I'm like, okay, here we go again. With the same story of Candy's always booked and busy. Candy got other things she's prioritizing, and she doesn't have time for her husband. We've been down this road several times with Candy. I'm going to need Candy to come up with something else. I mean, I know it's a balancing act. I know it's real, but I really think we should talk about something else outside of the fact that you're still trying to figure it out as far as making time for Todd and looking at his projects as being just as important as your projects. That's what I'm saying when it comes to their dynamic. And they're still working through it. It's always going to be a work in progress. That's just what it is. So, I'm trying to think, who else do we see? I think I'm trying to remember, did we see a scene with Marlo and Courtney? Did they have a scene together? I don't even remember. I think Marlo had talked about her life coach or whatever, and how she still needs to work. Child, I can't even get with Marlo. So it's kind of like a blur when it comes to Marlo. We do see Kenya, though, have a conversation with Sheree. Kenya's at the house. Sheree's over there to visit, and they're talking. And we see Brooklyn for a moment. She comes out showing us she's taking karate. It's really cute. And then Sheree and Kenya talking about health. And Sheree said something really, I'm trying to really understand it. Sheree is dealing with fibroids. And Kenya said, she's had several procedures done over the years. And Sheree was like, I'm trying to figure out, more holistic routes
to shrink the fibroid. She doesn't want to have the surgery. Now, this is a story that, like, I wish Giselle would have talked more about on the Potomac franchise. It's a real story. Black women suffer with this a lot more than any other race of women. And, you know, Sheree Steen is trying to avoid going under the knife. And I don't blame her. But at the same time, something needs to be done. And she said, if I do the surgery, I don't want to have to be down for 6 weeks and I can't have sex. Girl, why are you worried about sex of all things? So she's, like I said, she's going to try this holistic route to shrink the fibroids, which means changing her diet drastically. So we'll see. I mean, I'm guessing we're going to follow Sheree along in her journey in dealing with these fibroids, right? All right. So we get a conversation between Candy and her mom, Mama Joyce, and this whole situation, what happened at BravoCon. You know, Mama Joyce hadn't spoken to Candy in a few weeks. I don't know. Time had passed. They're finally talking. Candy brings it up again about her disrespecting Todd. And it's got to stop. Like you just, it's just not a good thing for you to go out publicly and bash her husband, the father of the last 2 children, Blaze and Ace. Mama Joyce is kind of like, first she said that Todd is no longer humble. At least at first he was humble and nice, acting like he's George Jefferson. I'm not even sure what that's supposed to mean, acting like George Jefferson. What, like he's a boss? Because that's, when I think of George Jefferson, I think of a very, entrepreneur, a boss. I mean, I don't know if that's a bad thing. But the bottom line is, Candy was like, look, that's my husband, and I'm tired of you bashing him. I'm tired of you publicly humiliating him. Then Mama Joyce talks about how Todd likes to go to the strip club. We'd have been through this before. Candy was like, look, yes, he goes to the strip club. I go to the strip clubs with him. I don't have a problem with that. So Mama Joyce has a problem with it. Again, it's not your marriage. It's not your issue, not your concern. So we come to the conclusion, Mama Joyce just does not like Todd. Let's just keep it all the way 100. She does not like Todd. She will never like Todd. She tolerates Todd, but she don't see it for Todd. And Candy would like, we can, go to therapy, and you just got to stop talking about Todd negatively. And Mama Joyce is like, okay, girl, she don't care. She just does not like your husband. She never will. It is what it is. So then we get Kenya decides to invite Sheree and Drew to this IV drip place. It's become very popular. People doing these vitamin drips and cleanses and things like that. She said, well, since we've been under the weather, the most in this group, I think this will be great for us to sit down and get these vitamin drips and get our immune system back on point. So when Sheree doesn't know that Drew's coming, right? So when Drew walks in the door, Sheree just looking kind of, because she's still in her feelings about an interview that Drew did. Drew said that, yeah, at the reunion, we got, Sheree, they passed out these She by Sheree items, and then she took it back, everything back, like right after the reunion. She's like, I thought she was giving it to us. So when Drew walks in, Drew wanted to hug Sheree. Sheree just like, I'll just give you a high five because I got a problem with you. And she mentioned the interview and what Drew said. And Drew turned around and said, well, I didn't say everything. She said, no, you said everything. And then Drew was telling her, she said, I really wanted this She by Sheree bag. I thought that was cool. And then Sheree was like, look, the issue was that bag wasn't even supposed to be brought out there. It had my personal items in it. It shouldn't even be brought out in the forefront. But tell you what, you can get on the website and you can make a purchase. I'm like, okay. I don't know if we expected anything more from Sheree. Honestly, I didn't. So that's all we got. That's all I can say about Sheree. That's all we got. I think Courtney's coming up with some type of trip for the girls to go on. I don't care for Courtney very much. But that's really it for this episode. I tried to stretch it out as much as I could. It was just one of those blah episodes yet again. Like I said, it's a struggle to get through these. It really is, but I'm gonna manage it. We're on episode 5. We got at least what? Do they do 20 episodes still? Well, at least 18 episodes. Excuse me. So, hey, we got some time to go. That's all I got. Talk to you guys later. Peace.